Hey,
Hi.
good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday to you all that's out there checking in with us. I'm Anne Marie Sorrell, President and CEO of the Mosaic Group, and today I have with me our rock star, Ms. Danielle Jones, who's our Senior Account Executive at the Mosaic Group. Hey, Danielle.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
All right, so Danielle, we have something super exciting that's coming up. Our 11th annual National Black Economic Conference. And I know you're going to be telling everybody about it more as we get started.
Yes, so we are hosting the Mosaic Group on behalf of partnering with the Black Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County and the Urban League of Broward County and the Black Business Loop will be hosting the 11th annual National Black Economic Conference this year on August 27th, so next Friday, as a one-day virtual conference and expo taking place again next Friday on August 27th. So just a little bit about NBEC. So NBEC is an annual event and celebration that draws hundreds of attendees. The goal is to empower community members and to take the necessary steps to grow and develop their enterprises, create generational wealth for their families, and to support Black businesses throughout the U.S., and to foster growth and sustainability while reducing unemployment and bridging the gap in the U.S. and beyond. So NBEC achieves that goal by featuring industry experts and thought leaders to facilitate workshops and events. So
Yeah.
this year's theme is the road to generational wealth, and a diverse group of subject matter experts will discuss the following topics to include where the money resides. So just talking a little bit about cryptocurrency, real estate, and more. The Green Equalizer, which discusses the $91 billion global cannabis industry, and Black business, where are we in the supply chain? Just a few topics that we'll be discussing this year at NBC.
No, that's a great introduction. I want to give a little bit of background, and quite a few people know I have been an advocate for National Black Business Month for the last 11 years. And National Black Business Month was founded in 2004 by William Templeton. And why am I forgetting the other gentleman's name? Mr. Jordan. His last name is Jordan. But they, had started doing these different studies around Black-owned businesses, and not just the challenges, but, what are some solutions, the buying power, how the growth of Black-owned businesses from state to state, and more. And so they actually had the opportunity to, under George W. Bush's administration, President George W. Bush administration, they had National Black Business Month become an actual sanctioned month by the U.S. government. And so that's a huge deal. I first read about it in Black Enterprise back in 2010. And that's when I said, well, I've never heard of this. We got to do something about it. And so we started at the time the State of the Black Business Forum here in South Florida. And that's where we started bringing different thought leaders, political figures, both on a congressional level and local level, to discuss trends that were happening in Florida, particularly South Florida, as it relates to Black-owned businesses. Since doing that initiative, we morphed into really focusing on economic development, because as I looked at what some of our challenges have been, and I've been an urban leaguer, for example, for life, been an urban leaguer since 2003 or 2, somewhere around there. The Urban League actually puts out a publication every year called The State of Black America. And in that publication, it shows all the different disparities within our community, from education to housing to healthcare to jobs, entrepreneurship and business ownership, and so much more. And the disparity is just astonishing. When we talk about our net worth as a people, when we talk about our our ownership when it comes to home ownership, which, by the way, in the recession, we lost a lot of homes to foreclosure, as so many people did, but particularly in our in the Black community, we lost quite a bit. And that's wealth that's going out the window when people lose their homes. That's generational wealth, right? So I thought it was important to not just look at the state of Black business, but to look at the state of the Black economy and what does that mean for us as a community, not just locally, but nationally and also globally. And so that's what we do with the National Black Economic Conference, which last year we had to host it virtually, had over 53 speakers over a 2-day period. This year we scaled it back to 1 day because our hopes is that we'll be able to, for 2022, have a hybrid of an in-person and virtual conference in 2022 over a 3-day period. So we want to put all of our resources and attention into that 3-day conference. But it is really all about economics, Danielle.
And I love it. I love it.
It comes down to economics. When we talk about building our communities, we talk about building our own lives and family. It is economics, starting with our education system and how we, from pre-K, educate our children all the way through college or vocational school or whatever educational path is selected, because there are many. We just don't always talk about all of them.
Right.
All the way to home ownership, then to
financial literacy, definitely.
Financial literacy, definitely. You know, just from the simple thing of having a bank account and managing that.
Yes.
A bank account and end up having so many overdraft fees because they haven't managed their budget.
Right.
And don't know how to create a basic personal or family budget. So there's so many aspects of economics that we have to continue to learn and grow from. And that's what this conference is about. And we bring together, you know, dynamic thought leaders from across the country who are experts in their various subject matter areas. You know, but we also work with our community partners. And I want to highlight the two that we have this year, which we have many others that we've partnered with over the years. But, you know, Urban League of Broward County has been a community partner since, oh my God, I can't even think back to how long. But I think we started partnering with the Urban League of Broward County in 2000, I want to say 16. Either 15 or 16. And we moved the conference. So the conference, when it was in person, we held it at a Black-owned hotel, which we have a few here in South Florida.
Okay.
And then we moved it to the Urban League because they have this amazing state-of-the-art facility. And it was like, you know what? Let's take the conference into the neighborhood at the Urban League, where we are not just supporting a Black organization, but we're bringing it into a historically Black neighborhood as well. And so we moved the conference to the Urban League in 2016, and they've been a partner of ours for since then. So we, you know, shout out to the Urban League of Broward County, Dr. Jermaine Smith-Baugh, who is just an amazing leader in our community, as well as her team, Alika, Courtney, AJ, everybody. You guys are just amazing with the work you continue to do. And then, of course, we have the Black Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County this year. That is one of our community partners. I am just proud of our Black Chamber of Commerce because I was one of the ones who helped restart it back in 2004. And so to see the growth and the continuity of the chamber is amazing. Just all the work that the Black Chamber is doing here in Palm Beach County and throughout South Florida with the partnerships they have with other Black chambers. So shout out to the new president, Mr. Grassford Smith, who will be one of our moderators and speakers for the upcoming conference as well. And so those are our partners. And We have several sponsors that I also want to highlight because we could not, this would not be possible without our sponsors. And so I want to, give a shout out to Florida Power and Light, who this is not the first year. Florida Power Light has been a partner with us for a few years. So thank you for coming back and partnering with us, Florida Power and Light. We have Valley National Bank as well, who has also been a supporter of ours for a couple of years. Our media partners, MIA Media Group, as well as South Florida Times. Thank you for being a partner from day one as well. We have Complete Contract Consulting, Ms. Sharna Barnes, who's one of our moderators. This year, she was a speaker last year on helping people understand how to get government contracts. And her company actually helps companies put together their bids for government contracting. We have Discover the Palm Beaches, which is our tourism development arm of Palm Beach County. And so, of course, visit Palm Beach County, discover the Palm Beaches exactly as it says. We welcome you. We're not only open for business, we're open for those who are looking for a great place to live, work, and play. And of course, I can't forget our other partner, Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, which is the tourism arm for Miami-Dade County. And so thank you for our sponsors. So if Palm Beach County is a little too slow for you, don't worry. Miami-Dade got you covered. With all the beaches, nightlife, sports, entertainment. And we have sports and entertainment too, but we just might not be all the way live as Miami. So shout out to Greater Miami Conventions and Visitors Bureau, the CNCVB, as well as Discover the Palm Beaches for being our tourism partners for the conference. And Florida State Minority Supply Development Council, who has been a supporter from day one as well for this conference. And when you're talking about the supply chain, which we'll be talking about that, where are we in the supply chain? So
I think I'm waiting for that panel.
Yeah, that panel's amazing. Yeah. But the Florida State Minority Supply Development Council helps you position yourself to be in the supply chain for corporate companies by becoming a certified minority or woman-owned business with the council. You also become a part of the National Minority Supply Development Council as well by becoming a member. And the National Minority Supply Development Council has several chapters or affiliates within different states. And so our affiliate is the Florida State Minority Supply Development Council. So that is one way that you can position your company to become a part of these major Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 corporations, to become a part of their corporate supply chain for them to buy your product or service. So they're going to be Beatrice Lusant. She's going to be a speaker on the panel where we're in the supply chain. So you don't want to miss that. So thank you again to our sponsors for this year's conference. And Danielle, we're going to go to the speakers because this is where it gets really exciting, guys. We have, is it 7 or 8 panel discussions?
We have 7 panel discussions. So maybe like right now, we have about 30 thought leaders between the moderators and the speakers. So I'm excited to hear, I've already met them, but to hear their topics and what they're going to discuss. They kind of got me pumped and hyped up from the orientation. So I'm excited.
Well, before we go into that, I want to give a shout out to my girl, Kira Reed. She is the founder of Women Empowered in Cannabis, as well as the Lady Jane Society, which I had an opportunity to go to Lady Jane Society retreat in July, which was amazing. And I met the most amazing women in cannabis. So shout out to Kira Reed for all the work that she's doing. And Kira, we have a panel on cannabis that you and the ladies of Women Empowered in Cannabis do not want to miss. So make sure that you check out the conference and the panel discussion that we're going to have about the cannabis industry and how people can tap in. So I just want to give that shout out to my girl Kira before we dive into, because cannabis is one of our topics, and I'm excited because I'm going to be on the panel, of course, moderating, but I'm excited about it. So Danielle, all right, so take us through these these topics and our speakers.
Okay. So I will start with the Industry Watch Infrastructure and Renewable Energy panel. On that panel, we have Joseph Sanchez he's the member and board chair elect of the Black Chamber of Commerce, Palm Beach County, who will be moderating this panel. Now, joining him as thought leaders and speakers, we have Adriana Clark, who is currently the Southeast Region Director of the U.S. Department of Transportation Southeast Region, Office of Small Business. And then joining Adriana, we have Mrs. Ann McNeil, who is the president of MCO Construction.
And I want to pause there because I want people to really understand why this panel is so important. You know, we're talking about industries to watch. We're talking about building wealth, right? Business ownership is a critical part of the wealth building stream of income, the wealth building process, the map, the roadmap. But also, whether it's even careers in or professional development, it's very important to watch and follow the money.
Yes, absolutely.
And I am a strong believer in following legislation because that will help you follow the trends and the industries that are going to be emerging. So why is this important? Well, because there's a huge infrastructure bill that the Senate has approved. And more than likely the House will approve. They haven't already approved it. I haven't watched news in a couple of days, so forgive me if they have. And I think the attention has been drawn away from the infrastructure bills to Afghanistan in the past week. So, you know, infrastructure, we're talking about roads, bridges, rail, all types of transportation, air, sea. So your seaports, your airports, your roadways, your railways. I mean, all of this is infrastructure, and we have very old infrastructure around the country. So these are job opportunities in construction, engineering, architecture, all type asphalt. I mean, if you haven't thought about a concrete company, or if you don't have one, well, this might be time for you to get one, right? The trucking industry, because somebody got to have trucks and freight to move all of this, right? So there's so many opportunities. There's the communication side of it. There's the community engagement, because people need to understand how it's going to impact their communities, right? And different things. So there's so many opportunities when it comes to infrastructure, schools, rebuilding different government facilities, parks. All of this is a part of infrastructure. So people don't often think of, you might hear the political side of things, but you don't understand. And even in infrastructure, renewable energy comes into play as well. So it's very important that this is a panel that these are going to be dollars that will be spent for not a year, not 5 years. These projects take 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years, sometimes 30 years. In Broward County alone, there's a transportation bond that was passed. That's a 30-year, $30 billion transportation bond. So I want people to really understand when we bring this information, when you have someone like Adriana Clark, who's the Southern Region Director for the U.S. Department of Transportation, she's talking about roadways, airports, seaports, anything transportation related goes under the U.S. Department of Transportation. So all those opportunities, she will be able to discuss and what the infrastructure bill means for that opportunity. So lots of opportunity there. Ann McNeil and Joe Sanchez both come from, Joe used to run the facilities department for Palm Beach County School District. Now he's the president of D. Stevens Construction. So he understands the work and the opportunity that comes out of infrastructure type projects. And then Ann McNeil, she's been in construction. She's also the founder of the National Association of Black Women in Construction. So she'll be giving both from the experience as well as the opportunity. They have an opportunity luncheon that they host, $1 billion opportunity luncheon that they host every month, right? To talk about, and they bring different speakers that showcase the different opportunities. So I just wanted to, and I'll do these little tidbits on each one, but why that particular panel is important.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. That was very insightful.
You're welcome.
So we also have the Go Global Discovering International Trade and Investments panel. Now, moderating that panel, we have Mr. J.R. McFarling, who is the Small Business Development Officer at the Urban League of Broward County. Joining him is Paula Baraya, who is the Economic Development Specialist, International Trade at Broward County Office of Economic and Small Business Development.
Now, this is a good panel because when we talk about going global, and last year we had His Excellency from Ghana, the ambassador of Ghana, who talked about doing business in Ghana, right? So there are many countries out there that are interested in doing business with American countries. And procuring our services or our products, doing import and export of our products or export of our products into their country. Or if they want to bring products into the U.S., how do we help them do that? So this is a panel that you definitely don't want to miss if you're thinking of scaling your business into the global market.
Now, our next tech team, how technology and innovation are driving the digital economy. We have Mr. Gervonta Edmonds leading that panel, who is currently the president and founder of Scoops for Seniors.
Absolutely.
Following that panel, we have Where the Money Resides, Cryptocurrency, Real Estate, and More. Now, for this panel, Mr. Grassford Smith will be moderating, and Grassford is currently, as Anne-Marie stated before, the president of the Black Chamber of Commerce, Palm Beach County. And joining his panel, we have a few awesome people. Mr. Vernon J., who is the founder of Equity Coin. Mrs. Mary Spio, who is the founder and CEO of Seek Virtual Reality. Mark Rowley, who's the Director of Financial Planning. V. Escarment, who's the President and CEO at Generational Wealth Through Real Estate. And Mrs. Osa Bartholomew, who's the Chief Program Director at Real Estate Executive Council.
Now, this panel, as Danielle mentioned, and this panel really goes hand in hand with the tech trends, because when we look at fintech, for example, which is the financial technology companies, that's a part of it. We look at Bitcoin, blockchain. There's a lot happening that is driven by technology, but with currency and the financial markets as well. So there's definitely some tie-in to that. And then we can't forget about not just the investment side and financial planning side into stocks and currencies and things like that and technology, but there's also the real estate side and how to create, not just through home ownership, but real estate investments, real estate development, and all of those different components we will be addressing with this panel. So this is going to be a really, really exciting panel as well.
Absolutely. Now, we have the Green Equalizer 91 Billion Global Cannabis Industry panel. And moderating that panel is ours truly, Mrs. Anne-Marie Sorrell, who is currently the founder and president of Cannabisiac. And on joining Anne-Marie, we have Dr. Lola Ohamba, who is the president and CEO at WCI Health LLC, which is Alternative Health and Wellness. And then Mrs. Priscilla Agoncillo, who is the CEO of Original Breeders League and also the president of National Cannabis Party. So, Anne-Marie, I know you want to give us a little tidbit background on the cannabis industry.
Of course. So for those who don't know, but you should. The cannabis industry is growing by leaps and bounds. So the question is for you is, do you miss out on this opportunity to be involved in this multi-billion-dollar global industry? There's so many different opportunities when it comes to cannabis, and we break down what exactly we're talking about. Medical cannabis, we're talking about hemp, and we're talking about adult use cannabis as well. What states are legal and countries. Where are the opportunities? Where do the opportunities reside? There are those who are on what we call the plant touching side of cannabis, where you're either growing, transporting, processing, testing. You're actually interacting with the plant itself, making products, or you're on the ancillary side, which is where that's more of the professional services side of the industry. So the industry is so new, it's so growing and bursting at the seams. There's still a lot of changes happening every single day because we have individual states that are legal and not federal legalization, with the exception of hemp, which was legalized by the 2018 Farm Bill. So, but there's opportunity. And I personally believe that cannabis is one of those great equalizers from an economic development standpoint, where we're talking about creating jobs, we're talking about creating businesses, and just building an industry overall. And there's a place for you in this industry. So we'll be talking about that. So you definitely want to tap in. These ladies are amazing. We have Dr. Lola, or we call her Dr. O. She's a pharmacist. So she's bringing that medical perspective, the plant medicine perspective, health and wellness perspective. Priscilla, she and her team, they actually cultivate and grow cannabis. So she'll be bringing that perspective, but she's also the president of the National Cannabis Party. So she'll be talking about the advocacy side of it and why that's important, because you can't be in this industry and not be a part of the advocacy. It just doesn't work that way, right? So lots to talk about. As you can see, I'm super passionate, super excited about cannabis and this particular panel, the Green Equalizer, the $91 billion global cannabis industry. So make sure you tap into that.
Following the Green Equalizer, we have Black in Business. Where are we in the supply chain? Leading that panel, we have Mrs. Petula Burks, who is currently the Chief of Staff in the City of Augusta for the Office of the Mayor. Joining Mrs. Burks, we have Robert Ballou, who is the Officer, Economic Development and Diversity Compliance Department at the Broward County Public Schools. Also, Mr. Terrence Clark, who is the President and CEO at the NYNJ Minority Supplier Development Council. Mrs. Dion Roundtree, Dr. Dion Roundtree, my apologies, who is the CEO of Roundtree Training and Consulting, and Mrs. Beatrice Lusant, who is the President and CEO at the Florida State Minority Supplier Development Council.
Yes, so Black in Business, where are we in the supply chain? Now, this panel, I'm very passionate about. I'm passionate about all these subjects, as you can see. But, this is so important because, after you witnessed it, Danielle, after the whole George Floyd murder happened, every corporate company in the country and government agency wanted to, we got to do something, especially the corporate world. We got to do something. And some of them decided, let's start a technical assistance program. Let's give small grants from 1,000 to 10,000. Let's, do this, do that, or let's just put a corporate statement out, whatever their choice was, right? All good. That's great. However, what our community need more than anything is to be a part of the supply chain.
Right.
Are we getting contracts? Are Black businesses able to compete for whether it's government contracts or the private sector contracts and be in a supply chain? How many Black suppliers do you have that you purchase goods and services from? Simple as that. And if you can't answer that question, then that's where your problem starts. So, right. And then we don't want to hear the excuse. So to avoid the excuse, this is twofold. this is, the organizations that are getting it right. How are they making sure that they are diversifying their supply chain? And then for businesses that want to participate in a supply chain, what do you need to do to participate? Whether it's, do you need to scale your business more and have more capacity? Do you need to be a part of an organization where you become certified as a vendor?
Right. Or I was thinking, how do you get recognized?
Right. How do you get recognized? Now, I know as a business owner who for years have tried to compete and get contracts with large Fortune 500 companies. It's been a challenge because they'll come to me and say, well, have you done 5 million in sales?
Was I given opportunity?
I haven't been given the opportunity to do 5 million in sales in one contract, but if you give me the opportunity, I can fulfill that contract for you. But they don't want to hear that, right? They want a quote unquote track record, but haven't given the small business, the small minority or Black owned business an opportunity to do 5 million in sales, right? So that you can grow beyond a small boutique company to a large, corporate company. So that conversation is going to be very interesting because we have both the government and public sector as well as the private sector that will be leading this conversation. So I can't wait to hear how this goes down.
Now, our final panel that we have is the miseducation of our economy, education's role in socioeconomics. So leading that panel, we have Mrs. Sharna Barnes, who is the CEO and founder of Complete Contract Consulting. And the thought leaders joining Sharna will be Mr. Mark A. Parks Jr., who is currently the Chief Financial Officer at the City of West Palm Beach, Dr. Deborah Robinson, who is the school board member, District 7 of the School District of Palm Beach County, and Mr. Brian Knowles, who is the manager at the Office of African, Latino, Holocaust, and Gender Studies for the School District of Palm Beach County.
Yeah, another exciting panel. So as we stated early on, Danielle, when we talk about economics and wealth creation, it starts with education.
Absolutely.
And, I believe that there has been a miseducation of our economy. Now, either we just didn't pay attention in economics, i.e., didn't pay as much attention as I should have. Until later, I was like, oh, GDP, supply demand. Okay, all that makes sense now, right? But all jokes aside, I think that when we talk about where are we from an educational standpoint and the role that education plays in socioeconomics, and for those who don't understand what socioeconomics means, that is basically when we talk about the labels of low-income communities, or economics that's based on your income, your social status, where you live, how much you make, how your unfortunately race or whatever is classified, socioeconomics. And I'm sure there's a more proper definition, but that's my layman's terms, okay? So when we look at quote unquote, because I don't even know what a new term is, it's underserved, underrepresented, under-resourced, low income, whatever the category is. And by the way, those categories don't just apply to people of color. Those apply to just folks who are just in poverty, right? Mm-hmm. No matter your color, background, or where you're from. However, oftentimes people of color are the ones who are talked about the most because they're the most disproportionately affected in these scenarios. So education plays a key role in that from the time a child is starting school, or even before they start school, how they matriculate. We know that, for example, in Florida, there's been studies for many decades of studies where the school to prison pipeline they start looking at it in third grade on whether or not males in particular, based on their trajectory, their behavior, their grades, their studies, their literacy, if they're gonna matriculate from elementary to high school and graduate and go on to some type of secondary education, or if they're going to matriculate and end up in a prison pipeline. Now, so education plays a huge role starting early on, all the way through what a person does after they graduate from high school. And where we don't focus on vocational and trades as much as we should, those are amazing opportunities for students to even learn while they're in school, to get, when we talk about infrastructure, trades.
Yeah.
Right? If we're preparing a generation for infrastructure jobs, vocational trades are super, super important for them to get involved with that. But not just that, technology. I know we don't even want to talk to children about cannabis, but there's a way to talk to children and educate them properly about this emerging industry and the career opportunities that are there, right? Mm-hmm. So how do we educate our K through 12 and beyond in economics so that way they can start thinking about the wealth mindset, financial literacy, career development, ownership, etc., from an early age, and expose them to the many opportunities that are there. So I am excited about the Mark Parks. He's the author of 2 financial literacy books, one for women, and I think one that's just a general one. So he's bringing that financial literacy component. Dr. Deborah Robertson, she's been a staunch advocate for children and education and curriculum, particularly African-American students. Brian Knowles, he's been developing curriculum and also an advocate in his role as it relates to socioeconomics and education. So great panel of expertise there. Of course, Sharna, she's going to be a great facilitator of that discussion. So super excited about that because this is a game changer. We want to educate parents on the role and how they can make a difference within their families as well as their communities when it comes to socioeconomics and education.
Now, in between all of the panels that we just announced, we have the Written Back Experience. So we have the Written Back Experience is the premier book club featuring Black authors from around the world. And so leading the Written Black Experience panels will be Mrs. Donna Gray Banks, who is the founder and director of Fresh Book Festival. And we have a few of our thought leaders who will be joining the Written Black Experience, who are authors as well. And so Mr. Mark Parks, Dr. Lola O, and Anne-Marie will be some of the thought leaders who will be joining Mrs. Gray Banks throughout the conference during the Written Black Experience.
Yes, so as you can see, we have a jam-packed day of information. But you know what I like about the virtual conference, Danielle?
What's that?
So when you do an in-person conference, you don't really get to attend all of the seminars.
You don't.
You don't, because we have some of these running concurrently, so you wouldn't be able to get to attend them all at the same time. But the beauty of the virtual conference is that it's all recorded, and if you missed a session, you can go back and get that session for up to 30 days after the conference. So just because you may not be able to attend everything, or you may have to come and step out, you miss it live, but you can go back and watch the replay as a registered conference attendee. And the conference is very affordable. It's only $59 for the entire day. And all the sessions, you get to interact and network with attendees virtually. You get to network and interact with our speakers as well as our sponsors. So it's going to be an amazing, amazing conference and experience. Last year, we had over 300 attendees. So we hope that you'll be in that number with us again this year. But this information is just amazing information to help you grow and your family grow as well as your community grow. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
Now, I want to take us out with just a quick clip from last year's conference. We had Mr. Walter Bond as our keynote speaker. So I just wanted to share a little bit of last year's experience with our audience today. And again, guys, NBEC is next Friday, August 27th. You can register at the nationalblackeconomicconference.com. And there you will also be able to see all of our speakers, our sponsors. You can read up about them once you go to our website. Again, it's nationalblackeconomicconference.com.
And I'll just add to that before you show the video that make sure you watch this from the beginning if you're joining and share it so that others can get this information, because we don't want anyone to miss out on the conference.
Thank you. All right, 1 second. Let me share my screen.
It's nothing more than a resource.
Can we hear it?
Express who you really are. I'm going to say it one more time. All money is a resource so that you can express who you are. And one day I went to, and I
Danielle, I think you got to unmute because the sound went out when you muted.
so I can check them out. I needed to know how they walked. I needed to know how they talked. I needed to know how they worked out. I needed to know how they thought. In high school, I was able to get access to experts. In high school, I was able to get into the presence of NBA ball players. So I'm going to ask you a question. Whose presence are you in right now? And how do you get access to the best in the world of what they do? You want to get your money right, you got to get access. And we're going to go a little bit deeper into that, but I want you to just take a mental note right now. Do I have access to the best people in the world? Do I have access to the top people in my industry? I belong to a country club here in Boca. I bought into this country club for one reason. Yeah, they got a great swimming pool. Oh, this swimming pool's nice. Yes, they have great golf courses. Yes, the restaurant is amazing. But the number one reason we moved into St. Andrews is for access. This neighborhood has 6 billion in it. We're talking about access to experts in your industry. Every industry is lucrative. So what have you done to get access to the top players in your industry? Who are the NBA ball players in your industry? Who is the Michael Jordan of your industry? Who is the LeBron James of your industry? And how can you get access? And once you get access, all I want you to do is keep your mouth shut and observe how they walk, how they talk, how they think, how they execute. And I just put $1 million in your pocket right now because you got to get around experts. And so use currency the right way. You want to get more money? Use currency the right way right now. You can use currency to gain access. When my NBA career ended, I had a little money saved up. I didn't make LeBron money. I didn't make Michael Jordan money. I made Walter Bond money, which means I had a year to figure it out before I go broke. And my wife and I scraped the coins together. And we belonged to a country club almost immediately once I retired from pro basketball. And here's why. I was no longer a basketball player. Now I was a young business guy who knew nothing about business. Ladies and gentlemen, I've never had a real job, but access is what made the difference. I got into the country club and I began to have conversations with successful business people. And one day a guy said to me, Walter, you're a natural born salesman. I am? Absolutely. You are a natural born salesman. And I said, well, what does that mean? Help me understand. What does that mean? He said, Walter, you are likable, relatable, and easy to talk to. You are likable, relatable, and easy to talk to. Business people, if you want to get your money right, you better learn how to sell. Business people, you want to get your money right, you better learn how to sell. Well, Walter, I don't like to sell. I'm not a sales rep. Why are you in business? Okay? That's like me going to a ball player and say, hey, man, you want to play in the NBA? Well, can you dribble? No, I don't like to dribble. Well, can you shoot the basketball? No, I don't really like to shoot. Business people, get over it. Business people, grow up and put your big boy and girl pants on and understand that selling is the engine that's going to make your business grow. That man told me that in the country club, that I was a natural born salesman. Oh, that's all I needed to hear. In 3 years, we doubled our MBA income because I began to learn and understand how the business world operates because I got access to top business people. So on that fishing trip, on the ocean, right over here in Riviera Beach, I caught the ugliest fish I've ever seen. And I'm a Chicago brother. I keep it real simple. I said, hey, look, babe, at the crib, got the grease ready. All I care about, can I eat it or not? I don't need to know what's in season. I don't need a history lesson. Can I eat it or not? If I can eat it, throw it in the bucket. If not, throw it back in the ocean. I don't need a long conversation. Simple to me. So we caught this one fish, and I said, hey, man, can we eat it or not? The captain of the boat says, no, we can't eat it, but watch this. He takes a fish and sticks it to the top of the boat. This fish defied gravity. This fish was up there for like 3 minutes, and the suction on this fish was on the top of his head. And after about 3 minutes, I said, look, dude, let's get that fish back in the ocean. And I asked the captain a question, and it really changed my life. How does that weak fish make it in the ocean? He says, Walter, that's a sucker fish. How a sucker fish survives in the ocean? It waits for a shark to come by. And when that shark comes by, it uses its only resource. When that shark comes by, it uses all it's got. When that shark comes by, it's an opportunity. And the sucker fish is flailing in the ocean, waiting for his shark to come by, waiting for her shark to come by, and it connects to the shark. And if the remora fish, the sucker fish, connects to the shark has a job to do. The shark has a responsibility. He says, Walter, the shark and the sucker fish work in tandem. It's a symbiotic relationship. The shark needs the sucker fish, and the sucker fish needs the shark. Oh.
I wanted to go on. I almost got caught up in the moment again.
Listen, Walter Bond is amazing. Let me tell you. If you haven't read his book, Swim, you should definitely read his book, Swim. It is amazing. But you will get caught up in a moment. But you'll get caught up in a moment of all of our speakers at this year's conference. And we'll also give you access to last year's conference if you missed it, where we have, I think we had about 18 or so sessions last year. Mm-hmm. So we'll definitely give you access to last year's conference and sessions, as well as, of course, you'll be at this one. So guys, make sure you go ahead and register, nationalblackeconomicconference.com. You don't want to miss it. It's only $59. And as Walter said, access to information, access to industry experts, and access to opportunities is what this conference is going to bring you. And your investment of $59, you cannot get all these experts in one place anywhere for that price. So make sure you go ahead and register. Danielle, anything else we want to share before we close it out?
No, register. You don't want to miss it. We definitely have a lot in store. I'm excited. So I'm excited to see everyone join us next Friday. And I think we are going to have a fun time.
Absolutely. Well, see you guys next time. Happy Friday to you.